Hey, in today's video I'm gonna be modeling and texturing a stylized house from scratch using Blender and Substance Painter. The interesting part is that I'll be doing everything using just one material for the whole thing. It was a fun little challenge and I'll walk you through the whole process step by step. All the resources I used for this project are linked in the description, including the final file in case you want to study it or use it in your own project. Alright, with all that said, let's jump into the video. Since the goal is to keep everything on a single material, I'll be working with one trim sheet. That means I need to define every part of the house and fit it all into this one square texture. To do that, I just start modeling the elements as I go, using references like wooden planks, metal pieces, windows, some flags, blends, and more. It is really important to plan this carefully from the start because if we need to add more elements later, we will probably have to reorganize everything. You're probably wondering why I'm modeling everything on a 3x3 grid and how I'm repeating those wooden planks at the bottom. Well, this step isn't really necessary. I'm just duplicating the planks to the left and right to make sure they are tileable. That's the only thing that really matters here. It is just a way to preview how the texture will tile later on. It's really important at this point to define the size of each piece inside the trim sheet. If we give too much texture space to things that won't even be that visible in the final model, we will end up wasting resolution that could have gone to more important elements, like the planks or the wall. So the idea is to find a good balance between the key pieces and the less important ones, making sure nothing looks bad, but that the elements that need more detail actually get it. You may notice some parts are just simple planes. Those are spots I'm reserving for specific textures that I prefer to create outside of Blender in 2D. Things like a piece of rope, some grass, or an emissive texture. It is easier and more efficient to paint those directly onto the trim sheet later. For the foliage, I decided to model the plants directly in Blender this time. Honestly, I usually prefer to do them hand-painted in Photoshop because it gives me more control to tweak things if I don't like how they turn out. But this time I wanted to give this approach a shot. I am not completely satisfied with the result, but it was good practice. Next time I'll try a different method and hopefully improve it. As usual, I prepare the pieces I want to sculpt by simply applying the remesh modifier with values around 8, 9 or 10. This way I make sure I have enough density to sculpt properly. For this I'm using some simple alphas I created to sculpt with. I'll be leaving them for free on my Gumroad page and you can download them through the link in the description. To sculpt the tile level planks at the bottom, we need to enable the tile option in the Sculpt mode menu located in the top right. Set it to the x-axis with a measurement of 200 centimeters. This way we can sculpt while keeping the tiling effect intact. As usual, like I explained in my video on how to do baking, I paint each piece with a color ID map, which I will later use as a masking substance painter. Since we won't be using any real geometry this time, this is the best way to handle the different elements. Now in Substance Painter I go ahead and bake everything we modeled and sculpt onto a flat plane with a single material that covers the entire texture. This way we can process everything we did onto this simple plain texture. And just a heads up, if you want more detail on the whole baking process, I've got a full video dedicated to that, so be sure to check it out. Here in Substance Painter, using my base material, which you can download of course, I start adding some simple texture that I will refine later. At this stage, I just need a solid base to work from, so I focus on getting the main structure pieces in place. I'm not really worrying about details or correcting colors yet, just laying down a solid base for what is coming. Now comes the interesting part. At this point, I start adding pieces that will help me build the house using this single material. Things like foundations, pillars, windows, doors, rooftops, stairs, and pretty much anything else can pull from this texture. It is worth mentioning that this is the first time I'm doing a project like this with just one texture, so it is not perfect and the modular functionality works, but it's not perfect. Still, it has been a great practice for me. I try to keep each piece at a similar horizontal size. This makes it much easier later on to place everything where it belongs, since the proportions will already feel consistent and things will line up more naturally. I decided to test these pieces to see if I could build a larger house. I managed to do it, but I had to tweak a few areas that didn't quite fit right without heavily editing the parts. That kind of thing is pretty common when working with modular pieces, which is why it is always ideal to have well polished and proportionate elements to make snapping them together a lot easier. And this is the final result. I know the video itself is pretty fast. Unfortunately, uploading longer videos isn't very convenient for me right now, since they take a lot of time to edit and usually don't get watched as much as shorter ones like this. But I will definitely keep making longer videos from time to time like I have been doing. I really hope you enjoyed the final result. Remember, you can download the full project for free from the description, and feel free to follow me on Instagram or any of my other socials. And thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.